Love, a word so small, yet it holds the weight of galaxies. We whisper it into the ears of those we cherish. We carve it into poems. We chase it across lifetimes. And yet, when we try to define it, love slips through our fingers like smoke. Philosophers have called it the highest virtue. Poets, the sweetest torment. Psychologists, a biological drive coded deep within our DNA. But to you and me, love is much simpler and much more complicated. It is the knot in the stomach when someone's eyes meet ours across a crowded room. It is the unexplainable pull toward a person who feels, for reasons we cannot rationalize, like home. Love is not one thing, but 1,000 things happening at once. It is dopamine rushing like a flood when we see their smile. It is oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, surging when we hold hands or embrace. It is serotonin shaping our obsession, replaying their words over and over again in the quiet hours of the night. But love is not only chemical. It is memory. It is story. It is history and myth woven into the fabric of who we are. Love is the song your parents hummed while dancing in the kitchen. It is the first time you stayed up all night just to talk to someone. It is the heartbreak that shattered you and the courage it took to open your heart again. Psychologists debate whether love is a feeling, an action, or a choice. Is it something we fall into, helpless and breathless? Or is it something we build, brick by brick, through patience and trust? Perhaps the truth is that love is both, a collision of fate and effort. The falling is accidental, but the staying is intentional. Falling in love may be the universe's doing, but remaining in love is ours. And yet we love because it transforms us. We love because for a moment life feels larger than the walls of our own skin. Love gives meaning to suffering, purpose to chaos, and light to the darkest nights. But love is not always kind. It can wound as deeply as it heals. It can make us feel infinite, and it can make us feel small. Love is the paradox we willingly walk into, the fire that burns and the warmth that keeps us alive. So what is love? It is not just a feeling in the heart or a spark in the brain. It is the grand experiment of being human. It is the bridge between souls, the most fragile and the most powerful thing we will ever hold. And perhaps the real beauty of love is not in answering the question, what is it? But in asking again and again, who do I become when I love? When we say falling in love, it almost sounds like an accident, as if love is gravity and we are helpless objects pulled into orbit. And maybe in a way it is, because when we fall in love, our bodies and brains conspire in ways we rarely notice, weaving science into sensation, chemistry into romance. Let's begin with the brain. Inside your head, 3 pounds of soft tissue are quietly orchestrating one of the most powerful experiences of your life. Falling in love lights up the same reward pathways as addictive substances. Dopamine, the chemical, floods your system when you're near the person you love. Suddenly, they become the source of joy, the focus of attention, the reason for your restless heartbeat. That flutter in your stomach? It's not just poetry, it's adrenaline. When you see someone you're attracted to, your body releases norepinephrine, quickening your pulse and making your palms sweat. Love is not only a feeling, it is a full-body event. And then there's oxytocin, the hormone released during touch, eye contact, and intimacy. Sometimes called the cuddle chemical, oxytocin deepens attachment, making us feel safe, connected, and bonded. It's the reason holding someone's hand can feel like holding on to life itself. But the brain does something else when we fall in love, something strange. It lowers serotonin, the chemical that regulates mood. This drop mirrors what happens in obsessive-compulsive disorder. That's why new lovers can't stop thinking about each other. They check their phones every few minutes. They replay conversations endlessly. They crave presence, touch, voice, as if life itself is incomplete without it. This cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, norepinephrine, and serotonin creates what scientists call limerence, the intense, almost irrational infatuation of new love. Psychologist Dorothy Tenove coined the term, describing it as a state where your beloved is the center of your universe, where logic takes a back seat to longing. But here's the twist. This high doesn't last forever. Research shows that the chemical storm of early love eventually stabilizes, usually within a year or two. The fireworks quiet down, the butterflies settle. And this is where many relationships are tested. Because love, if it is to last, must evolve. The science tells us that the brain cannot sustain the intensity of early infatuation forever. If it did, we would be too distracted to survive. So the body shifts. Dopamine spikes give way to oxytocin stability. Passion softens into companionship. Infatuation ripens into intimacy. And yet we keep chasing that first rush, the first kiss, the first late-night conversation that made us feel infinite, the first electric touch. We are wired to crave novelty, and yet we are also wired to crave safety. And love is the delicate dance between the two. So when you fall in love, know this: you are stepping into one of the most ancient rituals of the human experience. Your brain, your body, your ancestors all conspire to make this feeling possible. Love is biology. Love is chemistry. Love is psychology. But it is also mystery. Because no matter how many scans we run or how many chemicals we name, there will always remain something about love that science cannot explain. The part that makes your heart race at the sound of a single voice. The part that makes a stranger feel like destiny. Why do we fall in love with one person and not another? Out of billions of souls, why does a single face, a single voice pull us into orbit? Psychology tells us it isn't random. Attraction is shaped by 1,000 invisible threads: childhood, memory, biology, timing, even chance. One powerful idea comes from attachment theory. The way we bonded with our parents or caregivers as children often whispers into our adult relationships. If love felt safe in childhood, we may grow into secure lovers. But if love was distant, conditional, or unpredictable, we might crave closeness with desperation or run from it with fear. Sometimes we reenact the very dynamics we grew up with, chasing the unavailable, fearing abandonment, or longing to heal old wounds through new partners. But attraction isn't only psychological, it's also biological. Pheromones, invisible chemical signals, can quietly shape who we're drawn to. Studies show that we're often subconsciously attracted to people whose immune systems are different from ours, as if biology is helping us choose partners who could create stronger, healthier offspring. And then there's familiarity. We're often drawn to what feels known. Sometimes the shape of a smile, the tone of laughter, or the rhythm of gestures reminds us of home, for better or worse. We don't always choose what is best for us. We often choose what is familiar to us. Culture, too, plays its role. Our societies plant images in our minds of who is desirable: the movie star, the athlete, the intellectual, the rebel. We internalize ideals of beauty, success, and status, and sometimes fall for the ones who reflect them back to us. But perhaps the greatest force of all is timing. You may meet someone extraordinary, but if your heart is not ready, you pass like ships in the night. And then one day you meet someone at the right moment, when you are open, longing, vulnerable, and love takes root like wildfire. So when you ask why we fall for certain people, remember, it is not one reason, but a tapestry. Childhood shapes it. Biology guides it. Familiarity anchors it. Culture paints it. Timing ignites it. Love, in the end, is never one story. It is all stories colliding into one. Love is not a single feeling. It is a journey. Like the seasons, it changes, shifting through stages that each bring their own beauty and their own challenges. Stage 1. Infatuation. This is the spark, the rush, the intoxication of new love. Dopamine floods the brain, adrenaline quickens the heart, and serotonin dips, leaving us obsessed. This is the honeymoon stage where flaws are invisible and every glance feels electric. It is passion at its brightest flame. But flames, as we know, can burn out. Stage 2. Deepening. As the fire calms, love moves inward. You begin to see the person more fully, their quirks, their shadows, their vulnerabilities. It is here that real intimacy begins. Oxytocin rises, weaving a bond that feels safe, tender, and grounding. Love shifts from ecstasy to companionship, from butterflies to belonging. Stage 3. Crisis or challenge. Every relationship at some point is tested. The illusions of perfection fade. Conflicts emerge. Doubts creep in. This is the stage where many loves break, but also where true love can be forged. Because it is here that you decide, will I fight? Will I compromise? Will I stay? Stage 4. Stability. For those who endure, love finds its rhythm. The wild highs of infatuation are replaced by a quieter, deeper trust. Love becomes less about obsession and more about partnership. You know their flaws and they know yours, and yet you stay. It is no longer about what you feel in the moment, but what you choose every day. Stage 5. Commitment or renewal. The final stage is not the end, but a new beginning. Long-term couples often rediscover love in cycles. After raising children, after hardships, after distance, love can be renewed, deepened, reborn. This is the stage where love is not just a feeling, but a legacy. Love, then, is not a single note, but a symphony. Infatuation gives way to intimacy. Passion matures into trust. Challenge transforms into strength. And when nurtured, love becomes not only what sets your heart racing, but what steadies your soul. Before love, there is attraction, that first spark, that moment when a stranger becomes unforgettable. But what is it that draws us in? Psychologists speak of the halo effect, the idea that when we see one quality we like in someone, we project other positive traits onto them. If someone is beautiful, we may assume they are kind, intelligent, even virtuous. Attraction, then, is not just about the person in front of us, but the story we create around them. Physical appearance plays its role, of course. Symmetry, clear skin, certain body ratios, these are universal markers of health and vitality. Evolution whispers that beauty signals fertility, and our instincts listen. But attraction is never only skin deep. Proximity shapes it. We often fall for those who are near, classmates, co-workers, neighbors. Repeated exposure breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds affection. Similarity is powerful too. We're drawn to those who share our values, humor, or worldview. When someone laughs at the same jokes or carries the same dreams, we feel mirrored, understood, connected. And yet, paradoxically, opposites attract as well. Sometimes we're captivated by qualities we lack. The quiet one drawn to the wild spirit, the dreamer drawn to the realist. In love, we often seek both reflection and balance. But attraction is not always rational. Sometimes it defies logic, skipping the conscious mind and hitting straight at the soul. A glance across a crowded room, a brush of hands, a conversation that feels like you've known them forever. These moments are rare, but when they happen, they remind us attraction is not just psychology, it is also mystery. Because in the end, attraction is the spark that begins the fire, but what sustains it is everything that follows: connection, trust, vulnerability, and choice. Every love story begins long before the first kiss. It begins in childhood. Before we even know the word love, we are learning what it feels like. A child raised in warmth and consistency carries a blueprint of safety. Love to them feels like home, steady, dependable, something to lean on. Later in life, when they fall in love, they trust it easily, like slipping into a familiar rhythm. But for others, childhood is not so gentle. If love came with conditions, be good, be quiet, achieve more, then you'll be loved. They grow up believing love must be earned. And so, as adults, they chase affection, desperate to prove themselves worthy, terrified of rejection. Some children learn that love disappears. A parent who left, a caregiver who was unpredictable. These children often carry an anxious heart, clinging tightly to partners for fear of being abandoned again. Others grew up in chaos, where vulnerability was unsafe. They learned to build walls, to keep their needs hidden. As adults, they may crave closeness, but fear it at the same time, drawn to love, but retreating from its intensity. This is why childhood is not just the beginning of our story, but the script we unconsciously carry into every relationship. Who we choose, how we fight, how we heal, it all echoes with the voices of the past. And yet, the story is never fixed. Love has the power to rewrite. A patient partner can teach the fearful heart to trust again. A kind touch can soften old defenses. A healthy relationship can heal wounds carved decades earlier. Childhood writes the first draft of our love story, but with awareness, compassion, and courage, we hold the pen to rewrite the chapters ahead. At the heart of love lies a terrifying truth. To love is to risk. To open your heart is to hand someone the power to break it. And yet, this very risk is what makes love profound. Vulnerability is the soil where intimacy grows. Think about it. The moments you remember most in love are rarely the polished ones. They're the raw confessions at 2 a.m., the tears shed without shame, the laughter that erupts from something silly, unguarded, and real. These are the moments that strip away pretense and reveal the soul. Psychologist Brené Brown calls vulnerability the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. Without it, relationships stay shallow, safe, perhaps, but never transformative. But vulnerability is hard. It means showing your fears, your insecurities, your messy edges. It means saying, "I love you" first, not knowing if the words will echo back. It means, "I need you," when pride whispers otherwise. Yet vulnerability is not weakness. It is courage in its purest form. To be vulnerable is to say, "Here I am, flawed and unfinished, but willing to share myself with you." And when that vulnerability is met with acceptance, something extraordinary happens. Trust deepens, love roots itself. Two souls begin to weave a bond strong enough to weather storms. So if you seek love, dare to be vulnerable. Because walls may protect your heart from pain, but they also keep out the very love you long for. Love is universal, but the way we understand it is shaped by culture. In the West, love is often portrayed as passionate, romantic, and individualistic. Movies, music, and stories tell us love should be fiery, dramatic, the center of our existence. We are taught to chase the one, the soulmate who will complete us. In many Eastern cultures, love has historically been tied to duty, family, and community. Marriage was less about passion and more about stability, partnership, and the weaving together of two families. Love was not always the starting point of marriage, but something that could grow over time. In ancient Greece, love was divided into many forms. Eros, passionate physical desire. Philia, deep friendship and loyalty. Agape, selfless, unconditional love. Storge,
the gentle love of family. They understood what we often forget, that love wears many faces, and no single one defines it fully. Even today, cultural views continue to shape how we love. Some societies encourage open displays of affection. Others see love as private, almost sacred. Some cultures celebrate individual choice in partners, while others still emphasize arranged unions. And yet, across all cultures, one truth remains. Humans are wired for connection. Whether expressed through fiery romance, quiet companionship, or family devotion, love is the thread that ties us all. Because love, in every language, is both universal and uniquely our own. If falling in love feels like flying, heartbreak feels like the crash. It is one of the deepest pains the human heart can endure, and yet nearly all of us will face it. Heartbreak is not just emotional, it is physical. Studies show that rejection activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain. That ache in your chest, it isn't just metaphor, it's your nervous system grieving as if you've been wounded. When love ends, the brain scrambles in confusion. The dopamine highs vanish, leaving emptiness in their wake. Oxytocin, once a source of safety, now turns into longing. Serotonin dips further, fueling obsessive thoughts, replaying moments, rereading texts, wondering what went wrong. Heartbreak feels like withdrawal because in many ways it is. The person you loved was your source of chemical reward, and now suddenly they're gone. The body aches, the mind spirals, the spirit feels hollow. But heartbreak is not only pain, it is also transformation. In heartbreak, we face ourselves in raw honesty. We learn resilience, we learn what we need, what we won't accept, and what love must look like for us to truly thrive. And perhaps this is why heartbreak, as devastating as it is, also carries hidden beauty. From shattered hearts, art is born. Songs, poems, stories that echo across generations. From brokenness, wisdom emerges. And when healing finally comes, it carries a strength that makes love, when it returns, even deeper. Heartbreak is not the end of love. It is the proof that you dared to feel it. And in daring, you became more human, more alive. Love and lust are often tangled, but they are not the same thread. Lust is desire, primal, urgent, a pull of the body toward pleasure. It is fueled by testosterone and estrogen, the ancient chemicals of reproduction. Lust is magnetic, immediate, often overwhelming. It can light a fire, but fires alone cannot keep us warm. Love, on the other hand, is both spark and flame. It begins with attraction, yes, but it expands into something wider: care, trust, vulnerability, and choice. Love is not just about the body, but the soul. Yet the two often dance together. Lust can spark love, and love can intensify lust. In the early days of romance, they often blur so closely that we can't tell where one ends and the other begins. The difference lies in time. Lust is impatient. It craves now. Love is patient. It builds. Lust seeks possession. Love seeks connection. Lust burns hot and fast. Love can burn steady for a lifetime. Still, neither is wrong. Lust is part of being human, a force of attraction that brings people together. But without love, it remains shallow. With love, it becomes something sacred, not just passion, but union. So when you feel desire, ask yourself, is this only a fire in the body, or is it also a fire in the heart? The answer will tell you whether you are in lust, in love, or standing at the doorway between the two. If love is the house, trust is the foundation. Without it, no relationship can stand. Trust is built in small, quiet ways, in promises kept, in honesty shown, in vulnerability received with care. It grows each time your partner proves, I am here, I am safe, I am yours. But trust is fragile. A single lie, a single betrayal can fracture it. And once broken, it takes patience and sometimes years to rebuild. Because trust is not words, it is consistency. It is not apologies, it is action. In love, trust means freedom. Freedom to be yourself without masks. Freedom to lean on someone, knowing they won't let you fall. Freedom to share your fears, your secrets, your dreams without judgment. And perhaps most importantly, trust means security. It is what quiets the anxious heart and strengthens the bond during storms. When two people trust each other, they can withstand distance, temptation, conflict, because the foundation holds. But trust is not only given, it is earned, nurtured, and protected. And in its presence, love flourishes. Because without trust, love is fragile. With trust, love is unshakable. Jealousy, the shadow side of love. It is the sharp ache in the chest when we feel threatened, the fear that someone else might steal the heart we hold so dear. At its root, jealousy is about insecurity. It whispers, am I enough? What if they leave? What if I lose them? Evolution may have planted its seeds, protecting bonds and ensuring loyalty, but in the modern world, jealousy can feel like poison. Mild jealousy can be natural, even a reminder that we value what we have. But when it grows unchecked, it corrodes love. Suspicion replaces trust. Control replaces freedom. The relationship becomes a cage, not a sanctuary. The key is not to deny jealousy, but to face it, to ask, what is this feeling really telling me? Do I fear abandonment? Do I doubt my worth? Because jealousy often says more about the one who feels it than the one who inspires it. In healthy love, jealousy can be softened with reassurance, honesty, and openness. Lovers who talk through their fears create bonds strong enough to hold them. But when jealousy turns toxic, it suffocates the very love it tries to protect. True love is not about possession. It is about trust, freedom, and choice. And when both partners feel secure, jealousy loses its grip.
Love thrives on closeness, the warmth of touch, the comfort of presence. But what happens when oceans, cities, or time zones separate two hearts? Long-distance love is a test, but also a teacher. It teaches patience, counting days, waiting for calls, cherishing stolen moments of connection. It teaches trust, believing in love even when you cannot see it. It teaches creativity, finding ways to express affection through words, gifts, letters, or late-night video calls. The distance can be brutal. The ache of missing someone is heavy, the loneliness sharp. Misunderstandings can grow in silence, and doubts can creep in. But when both partners are committed, distance can deepen love rather than destroy it. Because long distance forces lovers to focus not on physical presence, but on emotional connection. It builds a bond of words, trust, and intention. And when reunion finally comes, every embrace feels like the universe itself has conspired to reward your patience. Long-distance love is not for the faint of heart, but for those who endure, it proves a truth. Love is not measured by miles, but by devotion. Love without communication is like a song without sound, beautiful in theory, but silent in reality. Communication is the bridge between two souls. It is how we reveal ourselves, how we solve conflicts, how we remind each other, I see you, I hear you, you matter.
But communication in love is not just about words. It is the way someone listens with their whole presence. The way silence feels safe, not cold. The way a glance across the room says what 1,000 sentences could not. Psychologists call it love languages, the idea that people express affection differently. Some speak through words of affirmation, others through acts of service, gifts, quality time, or touch. Miscommunication often happens when partners speak different languages without realizing it. Healthy love requires learning not only to speak, but to listen. To hear not just what is said, but what is meant. To notice the pauses, the hesitations, the feelings unspoken. Conflict, too, is inevitable, but communication turns conflict from a battlefield into a classroom. When done with respect, even disagreements can deepen intimacy. They reveal values, boundaries, and the strength of commitment. In the end, communication is not about perfect dialogue. It is about presence. It is about saying, I am willing to understand you even when it's hard. And that willingness is the heartbeat of love. For centuries, poets, philosophers, and dreamers have asked, do soulmates exist? Is there one person written in the stars destined to meet us and make us whole? The idea of soulmates is intoxicating. A single heart perfectly attuned to ours. A bond so deep, so inevitable, that nothing, not distance, not time, not circumstance, could break it. Many of us long for this kind of love, a love that feels like fate itself. But psychology offers a gentler perspective. Research shows that compatibility is not only discovered, it is created. What feels like destiny is often two people willing to nurture, grow, and fight for their bond. Soulmates, then, are not always found, sometimes they're built. Yet the mystery remains. Many lovers describe meeting someone who feels instantly familiar, as if they've known them forever. Perhaps it's chemistry, perhaps it's timing, perhaps it's something beyond science. Call it synchronicity, call it fate, call it soul connection. Whether myth or reality, the belief in soulmates can inspire us. It reminds us that love is not only about choice, but also about wonder. And sometimes, in the vastness of the universe, two souls truly do find each other. And when they do, it feels like destiny. Love lives in two dimensions, the timeless and the fleeting. In the beginning, love feels eternal. Hours slip by unnoticed. Days feel heavy with meaning. Lovers often say, I wish this moment could last forever. And in a way, it does, because memory preserves it like amber, glowing long after the moment has passed. But love also wrestles with time. Infatuation fades. Passion ebbs and flows. Seasons change, and so do people. Relationships face the test of years, careers, children, losses, illnesses, dreams fulfilled or broken. Time challenges us to love not just in moments of bliss, but in the grind of ordinary days. And yet, time can be love's ally. For those who endure, love matures like fine wine, gaining depth and richness. The fire of youth softens into the glow of companionship. The hand you once held nervously at 20 becomes the hand you cannot imagine letting go of at 70. Perhaps the secret of love and time is this. Love thrives when we treat every day as both ordinary and extraordinary. To find joy in small gestures, a shared meal, a soft glance, a simple touch. Because in the end, love is not only measured in years lived together, but in moments cherished along the way.
Before we can truly love another, we must learn to love ourselves. This is not selfishness, it is wholeness. Self-love means recognizing your worth, honoring your needs,
and treating yourself with the kindness you long to give others. Without it, love becomes unbalanced, a search for someone to fill the emptiness inside. When we lack self-love, we may cling too tightly, lose ourselves in relationships, or tolerate harm because we fear being alone. But when we carry self-love, we enter relationships not from need, but from abundance. We give freely, not to be completed, but to share what is already whole. Self-love also teaches boundaries. It says, I will love you, but not at the cost of losing myself. It allows us to walk away from relationships that diminish us and to choose partners who honor us. And paradoxically, self-love deepens our love for others. Because when we accept ourselves fully, flaws, scars, and all, we are better able to accept the imperfections in those we love. So if you seek great love, start with the mirror. Love yourself fiercely. Respect yourself deeply. From that foundation, every other kind of love grows stronger, truer, and more enduring. No love story is free from mistakes. Words spoken in anger, promises broken, trust shaken, even the strongest bonds are tested by human imperfection. And when wounds appear, the question becomes, can we forgive? Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is not pretending the pain never happened. It is the courage to face the wound, to acknowledge the hurt, and to choose healing over resentment. In love, forgiveness is essential because closeness guarantees friction. Two imperfect souls, colliding daily, will sometimes bruise each other. Without forgiveness, small injuries fester into bitterness. But with forgiveness, love becomes resilient, flexible, able to bend without breaking. Forgiveness does not mean accepting harm without change. It requires accountability, remorse, and effort. It is not weakness, but strength, because it asks us to let go of pride, ego, and the desire to punish. When forgiveness is given, love transforms. It becomes deeper, stronger, tempered by fire. Because forgiveness says, I see your flaws, I see your humanity, and still I choose to love you. True love is not about perfection. It is about grace. Love has always been more than emotion. Across cultures and centuries, it has been seen as sacred, a force that connects us not only to each other, but to something greater. Spiritual traditions speak of love as divine. In Christianity, love is described as patient, kind, enduring, the very nature of God. In Buddhism, compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta, are paths to enlightenment. In Sufism, divine love is the longing of the soul for union with the infinite. Love, then, is not just between two people. It is a thread connecting the human to the eternal. When we love, we glimpse the divine. We taste unity, transcendence, the dissolving of boundaries between self and other. Even outside religion, many describe love in spiritual terms. Falling in love can feel like destiny, as if the universe itself conspired to bring two souls together. Holding a child can feel like touching eternity. Grieving a lost love can feel like a prayer unanswered. Perhaps love is the closest thing we have to proof of something larger than ourselves, because in love, we see the infinite reflected in the finite. We see eternity in a fleeting moment. We see the divine in the eyes of another. Love is not confined to romance or even to humanity. It is universal. It exists in the mother who cradles her newborn, in the friend who shows up at midnight, in the stranger who offers kindness without expectation. Love pulses through communities, through families, through every act of care that bridges one soul to another. Biologists see love in the animal kingdom, in elephants mourning their dead, in wolves who mate for life, in birds who share food with their partners. Love, it seems, is not uniquely human, but deeply woven into the fabric of life. And beyond biology, love is the force that holds societies together. Empathy, compassion, solidarity, these are forms of love that allow civilizations to flourish. Without love, humanity fractures. With it, we thrive. In the end, love is not just a feeling. It is energy. It is connection. It is the invisible thread that ties the universe together. From the smallest gesture to the grandest sacrifice, love is the heartbeat of existence itself. Love is the story we never stop telling. It is the question we never stop asking. It is the mystery we never fully solve. We have explored its psychology, its biology, its history, its culture, and its depth in human experience. We have seen how it begins in the brain, blooms in the heart, and extends outward into society, spirituality, and even the universe itself. And yet, love resists definition. No matter how many words we write, no matter how many theories we study, love is always more than what we can capture. It is too vast, too nuanced, too alive. Perhaps that is what makes it so beautiful. If love could be contained, explained, and measured perfectly, it would lose its magic. Its power comes from the unknown, from the way it surprises us, humbles us, changes us. Love is not one thing. It is many things. It is gentle and fierce, joyful and painful, fleeting and eternal. It is both fragile and unbreakable. And though we cannot fully understand it, we can feel it, in a hug, in a glance, in a sacrifice, in a whispered, "I'm here." Love is not just something we chase. It is something we create, moment by moment. So perhaps the purpose of love is not to be solved, but to be lived, to be experienced in all its forms, the laughter, the tears, the risks, the lessons. To love is to be human. To love is to be alive. And as long as hearts beat, the mystery of love will continue. A mystery without end, a force without limit.